In the past, Clinton County, Missouri was the western edge of the United States. Situated between two emerging cities, Kansas City and St. Joseph, Clinton County benefited from their growth. The Pony Express, the Gold Rush, and Western migration brought people through the county, but the population that settled here put it on the map. Plattsburg became the beef capital of the world. Lathrop was the major supplier of mules for the Boer Wars and World War I. 5 railroads crisscrossed the county, and the nation's first north-south highway ran through Cameron, Plattsburg, and Trimble on its way to Kansas City. Clinton County was home to David Rice Atchison, president for a day, James Harvey Birch, Missouri Supreme Court judge, Willis J. Wynn, president of the Cleveland Federal Reserve, and James Marshall, early leader of the Manhattan Project. Here are more family histories of Clinton County.
My name is Cornelius Adam Graham, known as Adam Graham, not Cornelius. I was born in a small town called Macca, Missouri in 1936. Went to school at Macca. Started school in 1947. Went there 6 years. Went to 3 schools. Lived around Macca all my life, Macca and Plattsburg. Went to 3 schools. Get a high school education. Went to the school there at Macca called the Shady Grove School. Went to school, black school here in Plattsburg, my 7th and 8th grade. From Plattsburg, we were bused to St. Joseph, Missouri, to school in 1951. We started high school. St. Joe had a high school named Bartley High. It consisted of grade school and high school, but it was only black high school in St. Joseph at the time. All the blacks in St. Joe, East End, North End, South End, went to Bartley High. We were bused up every day. And in 1954, they integrated. I went my last year of high school right here in Plattsburg, where I was born and raised. My last year, 1954, they integrated, and I went to school here at Plattsburg, my high school year. My last year of high school. Macca, Missouri, where I was born and raised, was a small town. Had a barber shop, a couple of grocery stores, blacksmith shop, a stockyard. Freight train came through Macca. 2 of them came through Macca years ago. I only remember one coming through. I was pretty small. Macca was a pretty important town back in the day. Had an Uncle Sherman May. He had a farm in Macca, and he raised cane, and he made sorghum. He sold sorghum. Several people from around the the other small towns would come and buy his good sorghum. Yeah, molasses we called it. It was real good. He made it for several years there in Macon. Pretty well known he was as a young kid growing up. Plattsburg was the big town to come to. Country kids. Quite a few blacks was in Plattsburg together. And we would come to Plattsburg practically every Saturday night. And folks, my parents would do shopping in Plattsburg. The grocery stores up on Main Street uptown, the stores stayed open 10, 11, 12 o'clock. Country people, old folks would visit each other. We would go to the show on a Saturday night. Kids would play, have fun. After the show, we might stay in town till 11 or 12 o'clock before we started home. It was people came to town also on Saturday night just to kind of visit, get together, knowing each other out in the country, and the town folks we knew a lot of folks in town. My folks did. My father, he worked in Kansas City from time to time. He used to, sometime the car would break down and the bus, we were 3 miles east of Trimble, Missouri, and the buses ran through Trimble, north and south, Continental and Greyhound, and a lot of times he would walk to Trimble, catch the bus to Kansas City, catch the bus back home, and walk 3 miles from Trimble back home. He did that several times off and on. He did through the years. My mother, she was just a housewife back then. It was 8 of us kids, 4 boys and 4 girls. As far as work, we lived on a small farm. Farm had a few hogs on it. And, really didn't do anything but kind of live life as a kid, growing up. As far as working, as I was probably 14, 15, I had hauling hay was a big deal back in the day. Hauling hay. I had a cousin had a hay truck, and I started hauling hay with him. Well, when I was probably about 15, 16, we used to haul a lot of hay. We did. Carnival would come to town in the summertime. When Carnival would come to town, we'd always had money to go to the carnival, and that was very important to go to the carnival back in the day. My father's name was Eugene Jeff Graham. My mother's name was Ruth May, maiden name, but when she married my father, Ruth May Graham. They weren't from Macca. My father had a farm out east of Plattsburg, around Latham. And he had a small farm, but had hard times there. I had two brothers and a sister were born out in Red Bush, where my father had the farm, but when the farm burnt, Well, that's when they moved to Macker, Missouri. My mother family, she had two brothers, and my mother had part of a farm there and a brother. So they moved to Macker, and that's where I was born, in Macker. Myself and 4 other kids, brothers and sisters. Had an older sister named Cora Graham, older brother named Richard Graham, a second brother, older than I was, George Graham, then myself. Then I had a younger sister next to me named Margaret Graham, and another sister next to her named Zeta Graham, and another brother, John Graham, and then there was another younger sister, Clarissa Graham, which we are all living now, except there's 3 of us left, myself and 2 sisters. Got a sister, Margaret in Kansas City, and Clarissa, she lives in Sabetha, Kansas. Macker, sometimes country folks, families would visit one another, and they might get together and play a game of softball out in the field. You know, didn't have no ballpark or anything. Just playing softball was a pretty big game back then. A lot of country folks. It was. We never had electricity. We lived in a house that was built, old house, 2-story. It wasn't modern, no electricity. Of course, no bathrooms. We were lucky to have a well right off from the back porch, and we could walk right out and get a good cold drink of water. Get water, and that was a blessing, because a lot of people had to carry water back in the day. Didn't have a well, you know, but we were blessed. Had a good well, never seen it go dry. Never had electricity, the modern, till we moved to Plattsburg. And when we moved to Plattsburg, there was some houses that weren't modern then, back in the early 60s, late 50s.
Did you have children?
I got married in 1963, went in the Army and got drafted in 1960. In the Army 2 years. When I got out of the Army, I got married, and my wife got married, and we bought a place, and my wife and I, we never had any children, didn't have, so we adopted a child, a boy. He's 51 years old now, and we never had any children, but we adopted 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. We did. They all live in Kansas City, and my son, I got a son who lives in Plattsburg. I live with my son. And I got a daughter in Kansas City. Got a son in Bowden Springs. And I got a daughter out in New Jersey, New York. They all married, doing pretty good in life. I started working in 1957 at Edward Quarries, here in Plattsburg. Worked for Edward Quarries almost 50 years I did. Till the place was almost, well, it was sold out in, I think it was 59, 58. It was sold out. But a lot of us, another company bought it, and a lot of us, things changed a lot over the years, business-wise. Another company bought it, and they changed things, the way they run it now. They changed it, you know. They didn't need a shop. They didn't need trucks to haul rock, deliver rock around to the country like we had been doing for years. They had their hard trucks. They didn't want trucks of their own. I worked at every quarries. I started out as a porter. I did, and worked my way up to shop foreman. And I worked and shop foreman, and then I was also the parts man later years, and became the parts foreman. And that's what I was when they finally were bought out. The Army I was drafted, I was shipped overseas. I did my basic training in Fort Leonard Wood. My second 8 hours in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And then I was shipped over in Germany. I was over there about 22 months after basic training. I went to Germany. And I was in an outfit over there called the 7th Army. And we were heavy, artillery. I was in the artillery. We had the big 8-inch Hauser. We did. And of course I never was in any action. I was blessed there.